Greetings all and welcome to the very first video of Just Plain Crypto. I am Max and today we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Now a lot of people, when I bring up cryptocurrencies, even younger people who are maybe invested in actual regular traditional stocks, you know, things like Tesla, things like Intel, things like Google. When I bring up, are you not invested in Bitcoin or Ethereum or something, and they believe that they have missed the boat. And I'm not quite understanding how someone would think that they missed the boat. I guess because the Bitcoin is worth $30,000 and they feel like they should be in at 2 cents. And therefore, there's no more profit to be made because you didn't get in, right the day that Satoshi made Bitcoin. Now you're not going to make any money on it. And that idea is flawed. And it comes from just a plain lack of knowledge. Obviously, there's more upside the sooner that you get into a cryptocurrency, which is why a lot of people, when they first get started, they buy altcoins that are known as crap coins or other types of words, because you can buy 10,000 shares for a nickel, and they think, boy, if it just goes up, from one millionth of a penny to a penny, then they're going to be millionaires. But the sad fact is that most of those things, if not all of those coins, are that price for a reason. Now, in the case of something like Bitcoin, it was one of the very first digital currencies out there, and it is different from the currencies that are produced today. There are differences between something like a Bitcoin, which is effectively a store of value or a currency, and something like an Ethereum blockchain, which does something completely different. It's a backbone for applications, much like a computer network or like an internet for crypto. It's a totally different deal. And the idea that there's no more room left for any profit is completely ridiculous, especially when you're comparing it to traditional markets like a stock market where you might own a stock and you'd be lucky if it goes up 15% in a year. That would be an astounding year for a stock. Crypto will go up and down sometimes by 15% in a day. It's a much more quick-moving market, a much more volatile market, but over the long term, investments in things that are good, sound, secure assets like Bitcoin shows a return rate on average of about 200% every year. There is not an asset that has ever existed on Earth that gives a 200% return unless you're talking about an Enron or a Ponzi scheme like that. There is only Bitcoin. And the idea that you've missed the boat, it doesn't hold water when you consider that less than 2% of the population of the world really is into crypto. A little bit more so in the United States. I think it's something like 8%, but there is still a lot of people that aren't involved in crypto yet. And it wasn't until 2021 where the banks are investing, countries are turning over to Bitcoin as a legal tender currency in Central America and a few different countries, and Nigeria is looking to go that way. And Bitcoin is a limited resource, cannot be counterfeited in any way, shape, or form, cannot be changed. The protocol can't be changed. And it has a long way to go. And just to demonstrate that, as I'd mentioned in like my little commercial intro video, I started investing when Bitcoin was around 8,000, somewhere around there. And that was just, a year and a half ago, maybe. It wasn't very long ago. So we take a look at Bitcoin is currently 43,000 because it, in the last 2 weeks, it went from 30,000 to 43,000. So the idea that at 30,000 there was no more upside left doesn't really hold water, does it? Well, if we look at, a year ago on a year chart from today, it would have been 11,800. Okay, so now it's 43,000. You understand? If you would have gotten in at any point really before here, now I actually was investing all the way up where we have this chart here where it goes all the way up to $65,000. I was investing over here in the 30s, mid 30s, because I was invested into shit coins, right? Ones that people that when they first get into crypto, they get into stuff because they're cheap, and they're like, oh yeah, well I'll get 1,000% if it goes up, and that's you want to invest when you start. You want to invest in assets that are secure and have the best upside for the least amount of risk. And then once you get your feet wet and understand what's going on, then you move on and learn about other assets. But for right now, you're getting started. You're going to go for a Bitcoin and you're going to just hold on to it and learn about the market. So a year ago, it was around $11,000, $12,000. I got in around 35, and then we had this big, huge, 4 months of skyrocketing up to about 65,000. And then, as crypto markets do, they have a semi-crash or a fall and a sort of a reset and accumulation. Now, this one had a little bit of help from the big banksters who want to get involved in crypto, where they've been buying like 100,000 Bitcoin. I think it was every week or every month for the last 3 or 4 months. They've been buying up every single piece of Bitcoin that's available. Now, if Bitcoin was not an asset that had any value, or the peak has been reached, why are places like Grayscale, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, these guys, all these big banksters, why are they buying up all this Bitcoin? Because they know where it is going. Now, most projections, now again, I am not a financial advisor, just the expressions that I have, and my thoughts towards the different coins and investing in things are what I would do with my own personal money and my own personal finances. I never want to be called a financial advisor because most of those guys don't know what they're talking about, because they're still stuck in the old bankster world where they print money out of thin air and just kind of gamble it away on stocks and pump and dump and that sort of thing. I am interested in real wealth and real value that continues and persists, if not, assets that grow in value, right? And currently, you really just have Bitcoin, the way the markets are. So we just had our effectively a crash or our suppression. There was some market manipulation, but it brought the price back down to where it was when I paid for it, okay, at 35,000. But all throughout this time, I'm still investing in the market. And then you just wait through the down times, and now we are coming back up to, after all of the dollar cost averaging and investing small amounts over the course of a period of time, even though I did have money, I had put money in when Bitcoin was at 51,000, and then it did fall down to 30,000. As soon as it started to come back up into the mid 30s, early 40s, I'm basically broken even, if not making a profit, because I am, of course, invested into other things. Most a portfolio, when you start, you primarily want to focus on Bitcoin, right? That's your backbone asset. That is what all of the big banks in some countries now are deeming to be the go-to asset for preserving your wealth. So to say that there is no upside when only 1 year ago Bitcoin was worth 12,000, and this is, when there wasn't banks in there, and then 6 months before it was worth 10,000, it was worth like 3,000. I think it went down to 3,000 or 4,000 when the old C19 thing happened, and then it's back up to 12,000, and now this year it did peak at $65,000. However, I don't like to measure things against peaks like that and all-time highs unless it's a new all-time high is being set. But it did go up to 65 and fell back down. And even though it fell down to 30,000 and everyone's like, the sky is falling, oh no, bear market, everyone's got to sell, all the retail investors sell. Well, if you would have gotten in just not even a year ago and bought at 10,000, you wouldn't care if it fell to 30,000 because you still would have made 300% profit in less than a year. And you could say, well, it went to 65 though, and then it fell. It's like, well, instead of a 600% profit, you got a 300% profit. 300% profit is better than anything you're going to get investing in gold and silver or any traditional market. So now Bitcoin is turned around and it's back heading onto the upside. My personal belief on this is that the upside is going to be somewhere into the $80,000 to $100,000 mark by the end of the year. Most of the other people that I'm watching are actually saying higher than that for people that have been in the market longer than I have. Max Kaiser, who's been a very big Bitcoin proponent, he's saying 220,000 by the end of the year. I don't know. We'll see. There's only 4 months left, but anything is kind of possible in crypto. So let's say that you bought at the peak at 65,000, or you watch this video and right now it's 43. I think by the end of the week, it's probably going to be 50,000 by the end of the week, but the end of next week. But let's just say you bought in now, or bought in at 65,000, and it goes up to 200,000. Or it even goes up to 100,000. You've almost doubled your money. And you could say, well, that's if it goes up. It's if it goes up. Well, it's going to go up. Okay, the big banks are invested in it. They're offering trust. Grayscale has Grayscale Trust for Bitcoin. Goldman Sachs is offering Bitcoin only to their wealthiest of wealthy customers, not for the plebs. The plebs can't make any money. So these things are in place where banks can custody crypto. And guess what? The banks have to go move to crypto because the economy is has some problems going on here in America. And being the reserve currency, the banks with the 0% interest probably not doing too hot. So everyone is moving to Bitcoin. And in another video, we'll get into why Bitcoin. Okay, why Bitcoin is what it is, why it is so valuable, and why you should maybe look at getting invested in it. But I did just want to answer that first rebuttal that I got actually from a young person who is an investor about why they won't be into crypto. Because to me, that's just like, wow, a young guy who doesn't like crypto. You think he'd be all over Doge or something. But it was that they thought they missed the boat. So for my very first video, I want to tell people they have not missed the boat. You have not missed the boat at all with crypto. And if you think that, you maybe missed the boat for the upside on Bitcoin, there are many, many other cryptocurrencies and blockchain out there. Not everything is a currency. Ethereum is more of a blockchain, but it is also used as a currency when you're swapping between different coins or tokens that are built on their network. And the other thing is too that maybe some people don't realize is that just because Bitcoin is $43,000 right this second does not mean that you have to have $43,000 to buy Bitcoin. Each Bitcoin is divided up into, I think a millionth of a Bitcoin is like a Satoshi, or 1/10,000,000th of a Bitcoin is a Satoshi. So there are smaller fragments. So if you just want to put $50 into a Bitcoin, you would buy that many Satoshis. Of course, it comes up as Bitcoin, on your trading thing. But I can certainly buy $10, $5, $20 on Coinbase or any other exchange of Bitcoin. And then I can use the Bitcoin to convert it into something else or put it in my wallet or do whatever with it. You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. There are very, 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 very few people that have a full Bitcoin. You have the whales that have thousands of Bitcoin, and then a whole bunch of people that have very, very, very little Bitcoin. And that is the situation. At some point in time, there won't be any Bitcoin left. All of the Bitcoin will be mined. There is a cap on it at 21 million, which is one of the reasons that Bitcoin is so valuable, because it depreciates over time. People lose their keys for their coins. Some people pass away and don't leave the financial information to a trusted person, so that Bitcoin is gone too. And that makes the Bitcoins that you hold that much more valuable. And we can get into what makes Bitcoin valuable in a different video. Right now, just want to show that on a year chart, 1 year ago today, Bitcoin was worth $12,000, and right this second, it's worth $43,000. And this is after it had a 50% crash. Some would call it a crash, correction, whatever, from 65,000 all the way down to 30,000. Again, with cryptocurrencies, time in the market, though, beats the timing of the market. There are a lot of people that get into crypto and they think, well, I'll just trade here and trade here and trade here. It's up 15%, we'll trade here, and then it's down. You create a lot of tax problems because the government still hasn't figured out how they're going to tax everything. But all of those would be taxable events. Trading from this coin to this coin to this coin, trying to get the swings. Now, in a traditional market, things like that are a lot more feasible because it moves a lot more slow. But in a Bitcoin market, it's 24/7 all the time. So even though your Bitcoin might be down in America during normal hours, when the Asian hours pick up, Bitcoin could all of a sudden jump by 10% or whatever crypto you happen to be looking at. Right now, the market is tied to Bitcoin. This is why I suggest anyone getting started, you start with Bitcoin. Start with Bitcoin. And so that pretty well explains where your upside is. And if you look at like all time on here, Bitcoin, you know, since its inception, when it was first being tracked, you know, it was around $100. And yeah, every single year for the last 12 years, the average is Bitcoin doubles in price. So it goes up by 200% every year. Some years more. There was 1 year that it was less. And things are only going to go up and up when it comes to Bitcoin. My opinion, not financial advice, but barring a black swan event, Bitcoin will continue to go up. Just as a natural, even if its own value doesn't go up, it will be worth more Federal Reserve dollars because of the inflation rate of the currency, which is sitting at around 15% right now. So you have Bitcoin, which gains you 200% a year, and Federal Reserve dollars that lose you 15% a year. You kind of need some place to put your money. And that's maybe why some of you are at this channel looking at how to get invested into cryptocurrencies or blockchains or just learn more about it. So that's what I have. And with that, we're going to be out of here, and we'll see you next time.